So Maha, a lot of our audience is also thinking that how should I launch a loyalty program? And you have launched loyalty programs, understood Tesco, you have launched it for Landmark, you have done it for BlackBerry. So let's try to think and create a playbook, maybe a simple 5-step framework, which is like a mental model to approach how to design a loyalty program and run it. Okay. So would love to start with the step 1.
Broadly, so 5 steps is what I also look at. So first one is about what I call as objectives, or understanding the business context and the objectives.
Okay.
Right?
So the why of the loyalty program.
Yeah, why of the loyalty program, and frankly, the loyalty program comes next. The business context objective is almost why does the business exist in the first place, right?
Like your boss asked you in Landmark.
Correct, right? So the question there is, and that is where at a CXO level the first discussion is, what is it you're wanting to achieve at a business level? What is your context? Which industry are you in? What is your understanding of a customer persona? So for example, if it's a grocery retail chain, then the frequency is very high, right? Product differentiation is less, right? The margins you make is less, and then you understand the customer scenario, which market you're operating in, all that, right? Equally, if you are, let's say, a furniture retailer or a jewelry retailer, then possibly the customer is coming once a year or maybe once in 18 months type of stuff, right? Something like apparel or fashion is somewhere in between, right? If you are a QSR, maybe somebody is visiting once in 2 weeks or a month. If you're a coffee chain, maybe people are visiting every day, right? So there are nuances to it. So that industry context, where are they? Are they an established player? Are they a startup player? What is their differentiation, right? So are you right now the disruptor, or are you someone who's protecting your base? Where are you, right? And then understanding what do you really understand of your customer persona, right? What is that particular need that you are trying to meet? So this, we are not even getting to the loyalty program. So that is where I try and ask them, because what is that you want to achieve? What are your objectives for the business? So very simple thing, people will say, I want to grow, or I'm not getting new customers, I've hit saturation, right? Or my repeat customer base is not growing. It looks like competition is actually taking away my customers, and I want to ring fence them. These are the things that you want to understand, that what are you wanting to achieve in your business, right? And then you say, how do you think you want your loyalty program to contribute it, right? If you ask the loyalty programs, everybody will say, I want to get more repeat, more
revenue.
More revenue. That is the answer.
Very
right?
transactional.
Very transactional. So when you get on this particular thing, it gives you a perspective why the business, and you ask them, why are you in business? What is your reason for existence, right? And some of this requires a level of confidence to ask that question, and also being able to get the comfort with the CXO and CEO that they are willing to answer those questions, right?
As an employee, you cannot ask it to your boss, but as a consultant, you can ask it.
No, employee also, see, if you are at a functional head level who's designing the program, you are a CXO, right? You better have the courage to ask that or understand that. Maybe directly or indirectly you have to figure that out.
Because loyalty is not a short-term commitment, it's a long-term commitment, and it has financial implications.
Absolutely, right? So that is the first part of understanding this thing. Okay, so this is where you want to go, and you are saying these are the things that you want to, possibly the loyalty program can help you with it. That's your expectation of it, right? The objective of your business and objective of what you want to achieve. The second step I do is, I loosely call it discovery, right? Now, if the business has had a earlier loyalty program, or even if they don't have the data capture that is available, then I look at it as 2-3 things broadly that I cover in that space. One is looking at the data to understand what type of customer segments are there, what is the type of transactional behavior that the customer is showing in terms of, what are their most valuable customers, how frequently do they buy, and all that type of stuff. That's the quantitative part of understanding it. Then I definitely do a qualitative part of it, where I actually visit some of the stores of either clients on the business that I was working in, where I talk to a few clients, where I understand who are their most loyal customers, and talk to them to understand that why do they come. And I don't talk of loyalty program at all. I talk about why do you come to this particular store, what does it offer to you that you're not going elsewhere, and that gives you a lot of insight about it. I also do a few competition of that to understand what is really happening. That gives me a bit of customer persona that is visiting, right? The third part is I focus on what is called as execution. So when I visit stores, are they really talking of any loyalty program if they have it already, right? If they have any data. And a classic question I ask everybody is, every CEO and CXO will say, I have this loyalty program, I want this to be. But you ask any of them saying, tell me who is your top 20 customers, right? I have never had a very clear answer to that, right? The point is, typically your top 20 or top 100 customers must be buying 20x of your normal
Yeah,
buys,
yeah,
right?
that's for sure. In fact, I'll tell you, when I was at Amex, once our CEO had, and I was part of the analytics team, I was asked to top, and there used to be a top 100 customer analysis done, and we used to look at the shifts. And the CEO used to always write a personalized note, and this I'm telling 10 years ago, not in 2015 I left, so around 12, 13. And he used to write a personal note, call them, greet them, and make sure that's happening. And he used to look at the shifts which is happening. And he had a one-to-one connect. And these are guys who are spending in millions.
So that is very important, right? Now, sometimes what happens if a retailer is typically sending 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 AOV type of basket, right? So that person is possibly spending 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs, right? But knowing that customer is very important to know for two things. One is you really understand the intent behind why they are purchasing. So not only do you understand who are your most valuable customers, you understand why they have a connect with your brand, which is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the other thing is, when you have this phone number thing that is there is a lot of data corruption that also happens, right? Where sometimes the store, and where it's not entirely digital, the store decides to play some mischief. And so that gives you an insight into it, right? So that's the discovery part of it. That tells us what are your core customers, what are they really buying, why are they buying with you, what is your spread, like the top 2%.
So basically the customer insights, and then you kind of understand what's happening. So which is huge amount of piece.
That tells you actually, you understand what is currently happening. Are customers churning, staying on? Customers have stayed with the brand for 8 years.
Actually, if you see these days, because the identity problem has been solved, this insight is possible before even loyalty program is launched. Earlier, this was only possible after the loyalty program is launched.
Correct. Absolutely.
In retail especially.
Correct. So that's why I'm saying. So if you don't have a loyalty program, you still have data, right? Because see, today people are sharing phone numbers not because of incentive. They're sharing because you get your e-invoice, your e-credit
you
notes.
save a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of convenience, so they share it.
SMS and WhatsApp.
Correct. No, that is our purpose, but the point is, from a consumer perspective, there is some convenience for them, right? So you're right. So even if they don't have a loyalty program, we have enough data to understand that, right? The third part is the design part, right? Now, design is where I always say it is about art meeting science, right? It is not about just saying that, okay, the math works here, these are my most valuable customers. If I do this, so obviously you have to do a trade-off in terms of financial modeling of the whole stuff. Do you want to increase frequency? Do you want to increase value? I mean, right, somebody who's actually, if the average visit for that industry is once a year or whatever, then possibly every time they come, you want to sell more to them, as opposed to saying I'll increase the frequency. Logically not possible, right? If you're in a grocery business, then you want to focus on frequency as opposed to possibly saying, can I actually sell more to them, right? So you do the nuance of that the data tells you in terms of what you want to achieve. The second is, take for example a furniture and a jewelry, right? Typical furniture may be 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh if you buy sofas or beds or whatever it is, and take a jewelry, high-end jewelry thing, where typical product value is around 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh, right? The customer persona is very different, and that's where you have to figure out that what you are offering and the way you are offering has to connect with them, right?
Yeah, and one is a more transactional product, one is a more emotional and a...
Absolutely. Now, how do you build loyalty in a furniture thing? Because the person is going to come once a year. So Saurabh comes and shops at this furniture retailer. He likes it, but he's going to shop once a year, right? That's only so much I can say. But I can leverage Saurabh's advocacy and referral by trying to get new customers, and that's actually a loyalty program, right? So referral as part of this can work in both places, right? Because your frequency is going to be limited. Your value is going to be once a year during occasions or whatever, but you build in referral to say that you're getting value out of your loyal customers. Having said that, the way you actually engage a furniture customer and you reward him or her for referral has to be very different from the way you do it to a jewelry thing. So think of a jewelry retailer, a customer, she's buying for 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs, right? Possibly the middle class, upwardly mobile Indian. She's part of kitty parties, social engagements and all that, right? She will not want to have a snigger behind her back where somebody saying, Kya ho gaya? Why is she recommending? She's getting 5% cash back, it looks like, right? So I'm, with a...
So passion versus incentive.
Correct. So a jewelry retailer was telling me that they run this program and they suddenly made this big saying that you refer and we will give you 10% back in whatever. And they said the referrals actually came down, right? And I told him, you would not do that, because the minute you did this, you have made it very transactional. And that lady is more worried about her positioning in society than the 10% she cares for which you are giving it. Now you have to give it in a very smart way. Don't put a value to it. Say that you are part of or whatever, you have silent points based on which you increase a tier, and then do maybe a selfie with your brand ambassador.
So think about, say, somebody saying such a nice earrings you are wearing. Where did you buy? I would say, so the lady says, I bought it from, say, ABC brand. Okay, I'll also try. Okay, wait, I'll send you my referral link. Go and use this. It can become a very cringy one.
No, see, so that is one. They may not do it, but even if they do it silently, hey, look, this thing is there, I'll introduce you there. If, let's say, this lady 1 is telling lady 2, and the lady 2, when she goes and buys, she realizes that lady 1 have got 5% offer, then the lady 2 is going to tell all friends in that circle, right? So you have to package it in such a way that it goes with that persona. It is not belittling for them. So a loyalty program is a program where it has to actually amplify the brand and make the person feel important. You have to be very careful about it, right? And again, if you are, like you said, furniture, a very transaction item, it's okay, right? So Meesho for the longest time started with this thing where friends could sell to friends, right? And so everybody knew. But then it was a target customer persona you're looking was very different from this, right? So that is where this thing of art versus science comes in, right? How do you want to engage? If you have a brand which is a very serious brand, do you want to do gamification beyond a particular level? Right? So how do you build that experience becomes very, very important to what you want to achieve as a brand, your core proposition, your differentiation, and the customer persona you are targeting.
And what I understand is, in a typical loyalty program, there is this earn construct, how you earn through the point this, and how you redeem or burn.
Correct.
And balancing that, both, you have to have enough mechanisms to earn and you have to have enough mechanisms to burn.
Correct.
Plus referral is on top of it, like a circle which will get you member get member.
Correct.
And in fact, I was talking to somebody especially in Club Mahindra, and they were saying that they get almost 45% of their new customers from referral.
Correct.
Which is like an amazing thing. Like your whole thing is working very strongly, and it's not a cheap product. Like it must be costing minimum 3 to 4 lakhs.
Correct.
And
same thing, Club Mahindra, you buy it once, you buy it for literally life. You don't keep buying.
It's like a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year.
15-year type of thing. So once you buy it, so your referral is actually a strong incentive. A new D2C brand, right? Referral is very important for them. Now, again, some of them make it, see, sometimes the referral programs are making it sound like you get some cash or incentive or whatever. That balance has to be depending on the customer persona.
So I think so the heart and soul lies in this design.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now let's move from design into execution.
So execution again has broadly 2 or 3 components that we look at it. One is the digitalization of this whole thing, or technology
the tech
stack, or
part
whatever,
of
the tech part of it, right? So how do you want to design? I mean, most brands today are almost going omni. Either you're digitally first going into omni or physical first going into digital. Most brands have that, and then on top of that, the marketplaces, there are multiple mediums of conversation that are happening today. So omni is almost a reflection of all of this, right? So how do you want to ensure that you are able to leverage and engage with the customer? Right?
I think so the complexity also comes in omnis, companies don't have uniform POS.
Correct.
So like one brand I was working with, they were using the Shopify store POS and this, so they didn't have this problem. So it's very seamless. But people have online working on, say, Shopify or Magento, and then offline working on something else. So it's a very difficult customer thing, and that's where the complexity of tech also goes deep.
Correct. So that whole part of Landmark, for example, where I work.
It must be even much more complex, even so 10 years ago.
You had, the whole e-commerce was built on Hybris, and it was the e-commerce first type of thing that they didn't launch it as Omni. They launched it as the e-commerce business. Structure of how Omni organizations are done is a totally different thing. Possibly we can talk about it some other time. But most businesses in India, physical first going to e-commerce, they have e-commerce and they have physical stores. While they want to call it Omni, the behavior, the structure is all very, very multi-channel and not really omni-channel, right?
That's the transition they have to go through.
But having said that, now if you are on different platforms. That's the reality today. So digital first customers like this brand you spoke about, if they've started on Shopify and then they've gone to Shopify Plus using that same POS in their physical
Shopify
stores,
Plus, yeah.
then it becomes a little more easy in terms
to
of
have the customer view and then
Correct.
run the.
Yeah.
And what see, my wife has a D2C brand, Coral Slab. So what we tried is, there is this. We said, okay, let's also launch a loyalty program. Kya jata hai? And we saw there are very interesting tools available for a very small price, like even like about less than $50 per month. Okay, you integrate. It's called Nectar, and it has everything. You earn, burn, redeem. And what we started seeing is, one day she was telling me a lady first ordered about say 3,000-4,000 rupees. She got, and the construct is like 5-10% cash points back. Second order, she again got this. Then the third order, and it went for 4 days. She did like one for 2 weeks because the delivery takes time, and she used it again and again, and it really drove that whole funnel. So it's the gratification, and the tech is becoming much simpler. And it took us 2 hours to implement it.
So in this case, Saurabh, you didn't have a loyalty program, you were building it upfront.
Yeah,
so there are programs like
so
Nectar.
there's a framework, you just adopt it and you're done.
Correct, and you're done, right? If you're an established business, there are challenges. Like I said, the Landmark
you will
Group,
go crazy on innovation.
your POS or Oracle or whatever retech, and you're having SAP hybrids.
Execution will be a difficult.
Yeah. So, but then that is where you have to see what part of it can be used, right? So the once you and some part of it goes into design as well. When you're thinking about it, what are the type of limitations and guardrails within which you need to operate, right? Because you can't have a program which is so designed that it will take 10 years to implement it, right? Because all these businesses also have. So in my design, which is the part I didn't speak about, is I always get the tech guys involved, just to ensure that I know what are the blockages that could be possible, right? So the execution is a combination of 3 things, like I said. One is agreeing the final tech architecture and the tech platform or whatever, and the roadmap for that. The second is the whole thing about the moment of truth where the execution happens, the customer experience part. So digital experience, how will we simplify it? How many click-throughs can you reduce in terms of what you want?
Yeah, how simple is it?
How simple is it? How intuitive is it? And if you are an omni business, then how are your stores and your physical store staff really part of that particular flow, right? Because 80 to 90% of business still happens physically, right? So this whole Infinia example I was giving is, if they had done their homework, this is something they should have told me 6 years back. I mean,
and this is more of like a digital communication. If there is a WhatsApp or an email going through you, so you will be made aware.
Correct. Now again, since you mentioned email in this, you see a benefit that Infinia talks about. Have they spoken about golf? Yes, they have, right? But it is hidden between some 10 things they're offering as benefit, right? So today the Infinia card is not, valuable to me because of all the other benefit offers, right? That one benefit that they should have spoken about was hidden somewhere in the subtext somewhere, right? So how do you execute it to know that these are the 2 hero benefits, and now you have personalization? So how do you really communicate that, pick that and communicate that? Everything else can be the subtext, right? How do you engage stores to tell them as to how they should actually, and again, it has to be very simple. They can't oversell the program.
Yeah, it's not about reading a text, it's about communicating through a
correct, right?
Conversation.
And then the third part is about, in the implementation part, is understanding how do you really want to, the metrics around it, how do you want to actually see that, how will that be made available to you in terms of what is working, what is not working, right? So that's the implementation part. The tech part, the training and rollout, and then the part that, how are you actually going to see the benefit of it, what is the type of, recurring meeting you want to have and all that, right?
And generally the tech implementation, if somebody like a D2C would want to launch, will take how much time?
See, if you don't have a loyalty program currently and you're launching it, I mean, in current situation, depends on the brand, but anywhere, in terms of the design, the discovery design part and all that takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, right? If there is some data or whatever it is, that takes it. The implementation part, like you said, you gave this example, it could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 5 or 6 weeks, depending on
the more clarity and tech
correct
is easy to do.
Correct.
In fact, sometimes you have to see how can you design the program to the framework you're adopting.
Correct.
Or the other ways, because if you go too creative, then the development will hit you. So it's a build versus buy.
Correct.
Or it is even like you pick and just configure and you put in. So
Correct.
like build, buy, configure.
And that is where there is, like you said, there is a trade-off that is necessary. So you take Starbucks rewards, right? Great program, everybody likes it. But then again, Starbucks is Starbucks. And that is why the Starbucks rewards acts on top of it, right? Now, one of the things that they introduced, which I quite like about Starbucks rewards, is this whole thing called streaks, which is, streaks is essentially saying you buy in streaks, right? You buy in streak of 2 days, the second day you get a better value proportion. You buy in streak of 6 days, then your value proportion increases. What are they doing? Because coffee is a daily drink, right? They want that particular thing, a habit loop to be formed, right?
In fact, if you remember, Big Bazaar had this Profit Club card where you upfront pay 10,000 bucks and every month you have to get, you will get 1,000 rupees thing for 12 months.
Correct.
In fact, I remember we had bought 3 cards, one in my name, my father's name, my wife's name, and we used to use the 3,000. But anytime our bill used to be 4-5, and it created an habit, and we used to go every time. So moving from the 4th execution tech to the 5th step,
the steady state part of it. That's the stabilization part of it. So once you roll it out, right now. So when you're doing the design and the implementation, there is the program and also the communication part of it, right? Which is, it is just not designing the loyalty program saying this is the benefit I'm going to give. How are you going to communicate to them? When will you communicate, right? Is your platform going to enable that, which is this whole handholding plan and customer journeys that we are talking about? You design through that, right? Now, in the stabilization part is where you start measuring that, right?
Yes.
So there is a business measurement that you will do. There's so the business metric in terms of really, is your business growing? Is your marketing ROI improving? Those are the type of things that you want to look at, right? So if you're a D2C or Omni brand, you're saying, is my geographical growth happening? And is my marketing ROI improving along that, right? If you're a purely physical retailer, you're looking at maybe geography or same store growth type of stuff and saying how your marketing ROI is working, right? Then you get to the program ROI part of it where you say, for the program spend I'm doing, what is the type of repeat sales that I'm able to generate, right? Which is it. Now, this is not entirely loyalty program. This is a combination of loyalty program and your business, the market you are in, right?
Like basically, what's the repeat you're
generating. Then you have this thing which is what I call as, and then in that you look at customer metrics, which is what is my current churn, is my actually customer monthly spend or annual spend increasing? So as a measure of it is my lifetime value that I'm predicting, is it increasing? So am I trending well, right?
Yeah.
So there's a business metric, customer metric, and then your ongoing what I call as operational metric, which is, am I actually more customers? Am I signing up? Are they actually becoming part of the program? Right? How many are actually clicking on whatever I'm sending to them? Right? How many mediums are they actually connected with me? Right? Those are the type of what I call as operational metrics, right? So, and then when you do this, you create what is called as a customer engagement calendar or contact calendar. Right?
So basically, then it moves into the retention marketing.
Correct. Thing. So you have these, you have defined this customer journey plans and all that, which you say when somebody actually downloads my app, what will happen type of stuff. Somebody actually returns a product, what will you do? Somebody's not come back for 30 days, what will you do? You're based on latency. You define all these what you call as automated shopping journeys or customer journeys and all that. And then on top of that, depending on what is working for you or not, you create customer engagement calendars or contact calendars based on saying, okay, this particular cohort doesn't seem to be working with me and I want to talk about this business benefit or product benefit or program benefit to these customers, right? Or I want to actually try out new products. So I'm going to actually see if I can do category penetration in that. So you design that and that actually tells you how your program is running.
And I think so once you have done it, this is where the real work happens. And
correct.